So I pick up all the dudes in the winter. I'm like, hey, how you doing? You like this? You like this? Hey everyone! So I said that I would do a winter gear. I'm gonna fix this. It's tilted and it's annoying me. Okay. I'm gonna do a winter cycling gear video. I will also do a little blog post about it. Everyone likes to get their content differently. And I'm gonna go through what I wear for the winter. So I'm from Minnesota. I'm a lifetime Minnesotan, so I've pretty well prepared with winter. I think I'm pretty good at that. My lowest temperature to date of cycling in is minus 56 Fahrenheit. So I think that makes me qualified, right? I haven't had a car for 5 years, thus cage freed, and I bike commute all year round. And so this is the stuff that works for me. I also do longer rides in the winter, just like I do in the summer, endurance. I like endurance stuff. I like gravel racing. I like bike touring. I don't do as much of that in the winter because it is harder in the winter doing endurance stuff because plowing, things like that. But I'm going to go through what I use and what works for me. And yeah. So I don't use cycling specific shoes in the winter. Everybody's different. You might have noticed in most of my pictures, I'm not really into kits and things like that. It's okay to people who are. We are all into something different. It's just not my jam. And it's not what I'm most comfortable in. So I tend to wear less cycling specific gear. So for boots, up into about the 20 to 15 temperatures, I actually wear these boots, especially to get around town if I'm going places. They're casual boot shoes. You can tell they're well worn. This is from Minnesota Salt that we throw down in the winter. These are bogs. Originally, they started out as waterproof leather boots. I do need to go get them treated by a cobbler, as you can tell, and they need some help because they've been well loved. But I wear these a lot. Once it gets into single digits, negative temperatures, really cold temperatures, that's about the time that I switch to a real winter boot. I used to have an Anu hiking boot. I usually go for something mid-calf because I can put my pants over it and that way slush, snow doesn't get into my actual boot. I look for something with the very flexible upper and waterproof, flexible upper part of the boot and waterproof because when you're flexing and pedaling, you need something like that. I cannot find those Anus I used to have again. I loved them. But this year I switched to this winter boot. It is actually from Colombia. This is all waterproof actually. As you can tell, it's very flexible. I'm not one for fur, but this is what this had. And inside on the foot part of it, it has this kind of heat reflective material that a lot of technical winter gear has. So they're very, very warm. I've worn them in that minus 56 temperature. And of course, I am always a fan of a smart wool sock. So I'm wearing some right now. I wear smart wool almost every day throughout the winter. And I love it. Being wool, your feet won't stink, and they're great. They keep me really, really warm. So that's what I wear all winter long. And if you do like to wear clipless pedals, then you will certainly probably want to look into like 45 North or something like that. They are much more popular for clipless pedals. A lot of people who do fat bike racing swear by those. So that's what I use. Then for my pants, I am Minnesotan, so I'm used to the cold, and I have an aversion to wearing multiple layers on my bottom half. I hate it for my legs. I feel claustrophobic. I tend not to wear a lot. I'm wearing a little jean jegging thing right now. I'll wear that into the 20s, teens, and I'll be fine. Probably not everybody's like that. I'm an oddball like that. That's what works for me. And then as soon as it gets colder, once, we get to really cold teens, single digits, negatives, then I go into more technical stuff. So this is a pant. I will even wear this pant into 20s and teens. This is a pant from REI. A lot of my gear I get from REI, and it's a wind, it's a wind, what do they call it? It's basically a wind blocking. It's not wind proof, it's wind blocking material. So a lot of the technical gear you'll want to look into for winter cycling, you want the wind blocking material, because the wind is really what kills you for the cold. So this is a pant. It's straight legged but very form fitted. It has zippers so you can get it, with your boots. I zip my boots into them, and straight leg but really narrow form fitting, so you don't have to worry about it getting caught in your crank or something. I love these pants. And then once we get into the really cold, I do have to wear another layer. So I kind of prefer, again, you can get these in wool, but I prefer synthetic actually for these. But this is again from REI. This is a medium base layer. So this is the top, and then I have a pant. And this is just like a legging, so it's very tight form fitting, and then I will throw on those other pants over it. And that's when it's really cold, negative temperatures. I usually wear that up to -40 and I'm fine. When I did ride -56 this year, I discovered that this might not even be enough for wind. My legs felt really burning sensation. So I've actually been looking at some different gear for that type of thing. It'd be interesting to experiment if we get that low again. Next, let's talk hands, because hands and feet are really the key things in winter cycling. If your hands or feet are cold, you're going to be miserable. So 40-degree temperatures for wind. I guess that's not really winter for us here, but I'll wear really thin. This is again another REI glove, a thin, wool or poly blend glove. It works great for me. Once we're talking 30s, 20s into the teens, again, REI. This is another type of glove that I wear. Gore-Tex, so wind blocking. It has and waterproof, some of it. It has I only get gloves and mittens with this type of long cuff, because same with my boots, I will tuck my jacket into here and then I get to cinch it tight so no air comes in. The air is what's gonna get you cold. You don't want that. So this actually works really well for me. These gloves are great. This, so this works into like the teens. But I think what most people find who come from cold weather temperatures is there's really no glove that's gonna work for you once you get to single digits and negatives. Gloves don't cut it. A lot of people do various different things here. A lot of people use pogies and bar mitts. It's not something that I use personally, but to each their own. There are a lot of people that I know that subscribe to what we call choppers, which are the leather mittens. You can get them at places like Fleet Farm or Menards, and they'll put a wool liner or another wool glove inside of it, and the leather really blocks the wind and keeps their hands really warm. For me, I just buy regular, snowboarding or big mittens. So this is a Decine glove that I got again at REI. It actually I believe it came with this liner with it, and I'll wear this single digits, some of the negatives. When it gets really cold, negative 40s, lower 30s, I'm going to be wearing a little liner inside of the mitten as well. For me, I prefer this. Everyone's different. Again, a longer cuff so I can cinch it shut. I've gotten ones in the past that didn't have that, and I regretted that. So these I really like. They keep my hands really, really warm. My hands and feet are generally really, really warm in all of this gear. Next, so you got my base layer, you got my legs. Let's go to head. So you're gonna meet me as a bike ninja, as I call it, because I, as a fair-skinned individual, suffer from rosacea. So I don't like my skin exposed to cold because I get really red, I get bumps, it reacts as painful for me. So I'm very conscientious of covering all this skin here. So I use buffs. A lot of people here use buffs, or they use what do they call them? Balaclavas. And if I could grow a beard, I would, and then that would resolve my issues, but I can't. So what I use is buffs and or net gaiters, they might call them too. So this one I have is the Buff brand. The thing I really like about this one is that they created a Gore-Tex bottom so that it's a wind stopping material. So it really helps keep my neck part warm. So how I wear this one, give me a second, is that I double layer the top, and then I pull it down, and then this part's in my upper part of my jacket, so my neck keeps cold, the wind doesn't enter it. So this is how I'd actually wear it, like really up there to get all of my face covered. This is where the bike ninja part comes in. So I'll usually wear a buff. This will be good for 20s or 30s, teens. Once we get single digits and colder, I'll usually switch to different ones. So I have multitudes of net gaiters or buffs. This is another buff by Columbia. Again, it has that heat reflective material on the inside, and it goes this particular gaiter goes much longer in the front, which I like because it goes down into my jacket and I can zip it in, and then I don't get cold air. My neck is another place that if I have cold air in there, it's all over for me. So once we get to negatives and cold temperatures, I will double these, because any winter cyclist will tell you one of the big problems with this type of thing, or covering your mouth, is you're breathing into it and then your breath freezes and you get a big old ice chunk right there, which is really obnoxious. So one technique that I have figured out over experimenting over the years is that I will layer my buff. So I will throw this one, and this is like really cold temperatures, over. I'll pull this one up. Sorry, my hair is going to be a little crazy because it's not pulled back. And then pull this one over top of it, and then this one has a drawstring, which I really like about it because it doesn't get it tight enough, because it doesn't fall down then. And then I find that with this, the outer one might freeze, but the inner one doesn't freeze as easily. I can go like this a lot longer and not have a big frozen ice chunk on it. So next, let's talk hats. And I'll show you my Bike Ninja mode. So again, I use winter cycling caps. I generally don't wear cycling caps, but I like them for the winter because they have the ear flaps on them, and then I just don't have to worry about really my ears. This is from Red Dot Cycling. I ordered a few from them. They're wool material. I really like this one. Works well for me. Again, it covers my ears, makes me happy. And then I don't use a winter specific helmet, but I have a burn helmet. These do have kits where you can winterize these. I think it basically blocks out the holes, letting air in. It really, with my cap, I don't even notice it. So I don't ever I don't put a winter kit in it, but I really like this helmet for my winter riding, and I'll throw that over this cap. There we go. Double brim, working it. And then snap that, and then I pull these over it. So here's where you're gonna see the Bike Ninja mode. So you probably don't think I can even see, but I can, I promise you. It is right here. There's space. I like this because some people wear goggles in the winter, like ski goggles, and some people, this is me, some people use just clear glasses. For me, once I started doing this, my breath kind of keeps my eyes warm. I don't know if that makes sense, just the moisture. And so I don't have any problems with my eyes. Some people do. The cold wind really does impact your eyes, so you'll figure it out, I guess. But this is what works for me. So again, this is why I say Bike Ninja, because it's really, I'm like thoroughly covered up. Okay, so that's my head. Then let's go to core. So when I'm going places with friends, or I'm just bike commuting and I'm not on a ride, I will just wear, like, this is a turtleneck. I would wear this turtleneck with my cycling jacket and I'd be fine. Or I have a really thinner kind of winter jacket that's not necessarily cycling specific, but it works. It's just a casual jacket. So then if I'm just commuting, I don't have to look like a cyclist, or if I'm going to meet people for something, I can just wear a casual light jacket with a sweater, and that works. It's over there. I can't see it, but sorry, I don't know the brand. But when I'm going riding or on longer rides, and almost every day commuting, you know, to get to work or wherever, I will wear my cycling jacket. I experimented, and I've said this in my other post about riding in the winter. I swear by cross-country ski jackets. They are wind blocking, they have venting, and they're awesome. I love them. This is one by Swix. I bought this last year, I believe it was, and I had a different one that was the REI Novara brand, and I don't know if that was specifically a ski jacket or not, but once I got this, I was astounded. I'm not kidding you. This jacket is so warm when I'm biking that I can wear a t-shirt in this up to about the teens to 20s underneath this, and that's all I need. Or if I don't, I will be sweating. This thing is amazing. Like I said, the main key to winter riding is you want balance. You don't want to end up being sweaty. Sweat will make you cold. And so you really don't want that. You want to be warm without getting overly sweaty, because sweat turns cold and then not good news. So the great thing about the ski jackets is they'll have the technical wind blocking panels and a little bit of quilting. It's very, look at it, it's super thin. It doesn't seem like anything. And I wear this in -56 and I'm great. And it has, this is just regular performance material. And this is all just material. So it lets all the heat from your body out, so you don't get overheated and you don't have the huge sweat problem. I will never forget my first day winter bike commuting. I think this happens to almost everybody. You think you need to be super, super layered, and I was so sweaty when I got to work that I think half the day my clothes were just sweat. It was really disgusting. And of course there was no shower there. And so then I learned I really didn't need that much clothing. You create a lot of body heat when you're cycling. So this works for me. Like I said, I can wear this with just a t-shirt and I'm fantastic. So that's what works for me. Once it does get cold enough where I need other clothing with this, that base layer that I showed you, I'll wear just this with the jacket a lot of times. And then, you know, once it gets cold, like -56, -40, 30, once you really get into the negatives, you got to start wearing a little bit more. And this is like a Massimo, so from Target, wool sweater. It's very, very thin. It's, see if you can see it. It's nothing, but it keeps me warm. I love this. I've had this for 5+ years. It was really cheap, and I wear this cycling all the time. And this is what really fantastically works for me in the winter as well. So generally it's just my base layer with my jacket, and then once it gets really cold I'll throw this on. And then, like I said on my other video, you grow up in cold places, I think I say it's always like the dad knowledge that you're passed on is always bring more with you, because if you don't bring extra with you and you're cold, you can't do anything about it. But if you're hot, you can take things off. So my dad reiterated that to me hundreds and thousands of times growing up. So I do, when I cycle around town, in my bag, I will carry an extra sweater with me. I'll carry some extra gloves with me. I'll carry extra buffs with me. Like if my buff freezes and I go in someplace for a little bit and then it thaws and it's all wet, I don't want to go outside with a wet buff again, so I'll just swap my buffs. Carrying extra gear with you is always really important, because especially if you're in an isolated area, there's, you know, biking through the city is one thing because you can always hop a bus or you can go into some place and get warm. But if you're going out to more of an isolated area, you want to have extra stuff with you. You don't want to end up in a situation where you put yourself in danger. I also was going to say, if you're new to winter cycling, if it's not something you do and you want to get into it, this is all everything works. Different people subscribe to different things. Everybody likes something different. Just because I do this doesn't mean it's going to work for you. and whatever you do might not work for me. What I would say is that if you're getting into winter cycling, experiment and start with small trips. So maybe your bike commute to work is 2 miles. That's a good way to kind of, a good distance to kind of test, what might work for you. Or go on a couple mile ride after work and see how your particular gear works for that temperature. Eventually you're gonna find the things that work for you. This is just what works for me. And in the city and just short rides like that, it's also a safer way. Even if you do a 2 mile commute into work and you're miserable, and hopefully if you live in a place with any form of public transit, hopefully they have bus racks or will let you bring your bus or your bike racks, or let you bring your bike on. I know here we have bike racks, but it's a good way to kind of get yourself started. There's always ways then to expand from there. Once you kind of figure out what works for you, you can go for longer rides. But this is what works for me. It's not for everyone, but hopefully some of it was helpful to you. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. And I hope you enjoy winter cycling if you've never done it. I love cold weather. I'm from Minnesota, and I'm one of the Minnesotans that absolutely loves the winter, and getting out and enjoying it and biking is one of the most awesome ways to do that. So I hope you get out and you have tons of fun. Feel free to ask me any questions or things if you're concerned. All right.